Have a cup of tea.
I think part of being creative is the ability to sort of try new things and push yourself to do new things. And I think if you sort of get stuck in a formula that works, or that has worked, it can get quite tired. I think, and you can kind of. I think I think it can be quite damaging. I think it can be quite lazy to do it that way, and I think you can take things for granted.
At work, if we have a brief for a project, then then we would have a fairly set structure in dealing with that brief in as creative way as possible, which would involve initially the one or two senior members of staff looking at the content of the brief, trying to understand the key areas and that were being requested, building some ideas around the key areas that we thought were relative to probably our skills, but also the requests, and then bringing together, once we got what we thought was kind of the essence of it, bringing together a bunch of other people and showing them what the essence of the issue was, or the challenge, and trying to get them to put their influence into it, so that the result was a mixture of different people's creative inputs, and then taking all of that and trying to refine it back into something that is presentable, and also takes the best of what we've all kind of come up with together, but also keeps it coherent. So that's I suppose a creative process, a professional creative process.
I would say probably two processes actually. One is to write words. I always find it easier. I know a lot of people write words that aren't song form, but I tend to write in song form to give me some kind of a framework to work with, and then I'll sit down with a few chords and try and come up with a melody with that song frame that I've already got. I also do it the other way, where I just make up lyrics that fit within a chordal framework, so you never quite know what you're going to get out of it, but it's always to me, I always find the hardest part to start. So once I've started and got the ball rolling, I can be much more creative, and it's almost like you get in a zone.
I think it's just drawing on sort of past experiences and what I know to work well in certain situations. If I'm sort of photographing sort of workshops and things like that, I do a lot of documentary stuff, so a lot of that is there's no planning beforehand. You know you're going somewhere and that something's going on, but what you're actually doing is responding to the situation.
Well, it's got to be an idea. It's got to be an idea that sparks it. So I guess that is the spark. But normally it's waking up, and my process is having a lot of things lying around half finished, to be honest, and something will be lying around. This is an old. I'm waiting for something else to come along, and I think I'll put that on that, or I will actually be able to get a sound out of that if I stick a fire extinguisher on the end of it or something. So things will lay around in a semi-finished state until either I'm motivated, I must do that today. I'll wake up and think, yeah, I'll get my soldering iron out and finish that thing.
I kind of think we've done it all, like every way that's possible. I've written lyrics without the music, and brought it to our sort of rehearsals, or I've just written the music, or and others have done the same, or just had an idea, or we'd swap instruments, or I play the drums and just get an idea of like a beat or something like that. So I don't think we have like a direct formula or a single way that we do it. But But no, we don't. So I do it every different way, really.
So I think there is a creative process. If you want to see it purely, I think you just have to watch someone going through it, whether they're creating a piece of music or a piece of writing. But I think if we extract what that's about, it is about those elements I've said, that you're not in a culture which is going to punish you for making mistakes, because all great invention comes out of hundreds and hundreds of mistakes, and there's loads of quotes about that. You're going to be able to take intellectual risks. I'm not talking about health and safety risks, I'm talking about really thinking wildly. You're going to be able to play, and you're going to be able to think physically as well as mentally. I think there's a lot more to playing with the physical world than actually making something physical. I think it's a thinking process as well. I think kids particularly need it. So all of those elements come together and enable the joining of disparate ideas, and I think that's what really makes a creative process, is the joining of disparate ideas, and we tend to channel children along quite regulated thinking.
It almost feels natural now, where I think, oh yeah, so in the next few days I'm gonna write a song, then I start thinking about ideas and write ideas down, but I'm not as prolific to be writing all the time, so it's almost where I almost feel like I know I'm going to start writing soon, so I'll when I'm doing my every day-to-day life, I'll start to think about maybe what the song's going to be about. So that's when the creative process starts for me, really. When I'm not even thinking about songwriting. Well, I am thinking about songwriting, but I haven't actually sat down and physically with the guitar to write a song. I'm on the bus, or that's when I start the creative process.
Problem is, I do a bunch of different things, really. So as a graphic designer, which I did quite a lot of, I'd have a different creative process to as a journalist, and as a company director, I have a different creative process to either of those two. So they're all they're all different.
I'll stumble across a colour in wherever, find a tin of paint, and then that's like, well, that goes with that blue, I'm gonna paint that today, but there's no deadlines, no set process other than if I'm asked to do something, I'll normally do it because that's fun.
I always have a guitar, sort of, there it is, and I always have a sketchbook around. I'm always thinking about things that I can make, or ideas that I can, things I can do in the future, or just loads of ideas for songs, ideas for I think ideas as well. I think it's important that people just keep thinking and keep, I think again that thing we were talking about earlier about being constricted to particular formats and routines. I think just keep thinking. I think the idea of just the satisfaction that it gives the person to be able to think, just think about things that are kind of exciting and that you can make and that can be achieved. I think it's really important.
I mean, defining the process, it's, well, again, there's certain conditions I would have thought maybe that you could attribute to that process. So from the perspective of the work that we're involved in, it's something that's reflective, it's something that's self-determined, it's something that's essentially around innovation, around exploration, around failure. Actually, most of my own creativity comes out of a re-evaluation of my failures rather than a kind of confirmation of my successes.